Trinice Palmer. I'm here with Kesha Rushing, author of Terrell and Keke's Adventures Through the Underground Railroad. Thank you. Welcome here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I'm glad you can come. I read the book. I loved it. And I'm hoping and praying that other people get the same opportunity that I did to read it. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
And so, like, the premise of the book is the Underground Railroad.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering what made you write such a profound book specifically on the Underground Railroad.
I chose the Underground Railroad because of just the history behind it, the intricate pathways that they had to travel from the south to the north. So I thought that it was a very good topic for children to know about the struggles and the things that people had to go through to get from the south to the north for freedom.
Absolutely. And so, like, let's talk about the migration, because in it, there were a few obstacles that they encountered that you don't typically see in, like, textbooks. They don't really go into as much detail as you chose to go into. Without giving anything away, if you feel comfortable enough to at least give one of those obstacles away, you know, and also tell why you chose to include it in the book.
Okay. So one of the obstacles that I thought was important for the children to see was the fact that Harriet Tubman had narcolepsy. Yeah. And she had seizures. So that was something that to know that, you know, Harriet Tubman was, you know, not just this superhuman woman, that the things that she did was were because of her faith and because of her want and desire to see others in her situation experience freedom, and the freedom that she had sought for herself, she wanted it for others. Yeah. And so I just thought that was, if she can do that with narcolepsy, which she may just fall asleep or she may have a seizure somewhere, that didn't hinder her from coming back 19 times to, you know, to try to bring people up north. And so I wanted the kids to see that if she can do that, you can do anything.
And you made it so humane that it's like, as it happened, me as a reader, I'm like, wow, what would I do if I was traveling with the only person who knew the way? You know, and this happened, especially in that time and era where you didn't typically see people, you know, knowing about narcolepsy. And that's something more modern to us. You know, but back then they wouldn't have known exactly what was wrong with it. So to see the response of other characters, and also me as the reader being taken aback, like, oh, what happens now, you know, and then you take it and you move on into various other obstacles that we won't get into.
We won't
get into that. People just need to purchase it to know about it. But I thoroughly appreciated that, you know, that's from a reader's perspective, you know, you including things like that. It's like, how did you determine when to place those types of events in the book?
Well, it's strange, but it just flowed that way. I didn't necessarily, you know, plan exactly where, you know, that this was going to happen in chapter 6 or chapter 7. It just kind of, when I was writing, I did like a general outline, but I didn't as I wrote, it just fell into certain places. So it wasn't anything that I particularly planned. It just kind of flowed that way.
Oh, wow. What were some of the research tactics that you used?
I hit the library. I got so many books, and I watched a video with Cicely Tyson called They Call Me Moses. And, you know, you have the internet. There's so many resources out there about Harriet Tubman, about the Underground Railroad. There's actually foundations, you know, pertaining to the Underground Railroad. So there's a lot of information out there. And so by the time you read it all, and, you know, and you put it all together.
Yeah, sorting through all of that information.
It's sorting.
And choosing which ones you want to use.
You can't use it all.
Yeah, and this was your first time writing a children's novel?
This is my very first time.
Wow.
So it was a learning curve. It was a fun one. I enjoyed it, very enjoyable, but it has been a learning curve, and I can't wait to start on the next.
Oh wow. I was praying that you say that there would be next, because I want to read more about Terrell and Keke or any other character that you come up with, you know. Specifically, what gave you the inspiration to write this novel?
Well, my inspiration is my children. I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. And so I read to them at night, And you get to that point inevitably as a parent, especially if you're looking for books that have African American children, and that you're like, okay, we've kind of combed through all of it, a lot of them that are out there, and it was like, I want something for my children that has adventure and that has some history in it. And so it just came to me that one night it was like, I can write that.
Yeah. It's one of those old sayings. If it's not out there, either do it or write it,
Yes.
And I have always been a big fan of children's novels, and some of my favorite authors, Mildred D. Taylor, Walter Dean Myers, Sharon M. Draper. And what I found is that your book parallels some of theirs in the language, the tone, the flow of it, the hipness of it, the modern tactics, even modern for them back then, the language. And so I wanted to know, was it hard for you to avoid stereotyping the characters because they are African American, like using certain colloquialisms, or did you just find it easily just to write, You
know what? And wow, to be mentioned among the greats, that's like, wow.
Oh yeah, it's that way. For me.
But so it wasn't one thing that it wasn't hard for me to I don't feel like I stereotyped them to a T, but I did want them to have a tone that was relatable to, other African American kids. I did not use a lot of language from, or what we would consider slave language, because I didn't feel like the kids of today would necessarily understand a whole text full of, language from the 1860s. So I purposely put some pieces in, but I didn't make the entire part when they travel back that way or word.
And I can absolutely say you avoided doing that, because the entire time you could have pretty much switched the characters into whatever ethnicity, that's out there, and it still would have established that it's the Underground Railroad. It still would have detailed things that we may not think about, like, for instance, Harriet Tubman having narcolepsy. Right. So I think you did well with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think there was any other reason to, try to put any other slang in there or anything like that. Just leaving the language the way that it was worked out in your favor, in my opinion. How much time did it take you to really just write the book?
Well, it took me approximately 3 months. At the time I was teaching. I was a teacher, so I had my summers off. And so I spent my summer writing my first book. And so it really worked out. The time flew, but it took me approximately about 3 months of the summer.
Wow. It would have took me longer, because that detail in there is something special. Now, as you mentioned earlier that, you wanted kids to relate to it, to understand it. There was a study performed by WETA Broadcasting. They released like this little mini project called Reading Targets, and it was released to address some of the issues that kids nowadays are having with reading, like phonetics, decoding words. And it was interesting to me to read this book, because I feel like you tackled or combat most of those issues, such as the reading and phonetics and things like of that nature, just in the tone of the book. So my next question for you would be, where can people find it, if it's available in Kindle format, print?
Okay, well, the book you can find it on Amazon. It's available in paperback, and it's available on Kindle.
Awesome.
And so you can also find it at my website at Terrell and Keke's Adventures.com. I also was able to contact, for you, those that know, a famous rapper that used to rap with Mos Def, his name is Talib Kweli. On his website, QualeClub.com, you can find it there. And you can also find it at the BlackHistoryChannel.com.
Awesome.
So it's in a couple of different places.
And I asked that first because I read it through Kindle, and I loved it. But another thing I noticed is, like, Kindle has the features of WordWise and dictionary. So that's why I was saying that I feel like this book kind of combats the issue that WETA was talking about, specifically with decoding and phonetics, pronunciation, and all of that, because as they read, they have the ability to highlight things or research that word, define it right then and there. I was young, I didn't have that option.
That's awesome. I was telling you a little bit earlier that I wasn't even thinking that way when I did the Kindle version. I was just kind of like kids like to be on their tablets and their iPads, but I love to think and know that that's another way that they can, you know, learn and actually comprehend. The comprehension is big, so I want them to be able to comprehend the book.
And much earlier on in life now, you know, because kids are operating these devices at 2 and 3 years old, you know. Yeah. And so to have that there and not know what narcolepsy is and be introduced to it through a narrative, you know, in a children's novel, and have that ability to just define it right then and there is awesome. I'm like, man, I mean, I personally don't really care for Kindles and all of that, but I did read it on there. But print is always the best way to go.
Yeah, I'm a paper book person.
But if you're going to use something that's electronic, at least use it, you know, in that manner where it's beneficial.
I agree. I mean, I'm glad that I have it in both formats, especially since I know now, you know, what you were talking about with the word-wise and stuff. So
wow.
I love that.
Knowing the impact that this book is going to have, what's one reason you would give all parents to go out and purchase the book?
I would say it is a book that is relatable to all you know, young people, not just African Americans, because it is the Underground Railroad is the history of America. I like to find out about other cultures, other people, and so I think that it is a way for children to learn history where they don't actually know they're learning. They're going on an adventure. So some of the things that they learn along the way, you know, they just happen to be learning along the way on the adventure. So I would say just it's a way that they can keep their minds open, learn history, and not feel kind of like you're pushing it down their throats.
Studying it and you know, being overwhelmed by so many different facts. Because a lot of times you reach a point where if you keep, you know, being introduced to historical facts, you get to memorizing it. You don't even remember half the stuff you learned. And then by the time you get my age, which I'm only 22, you know, you choose to go to college, you start learning the real history, you know, the backstories to things. So it can be a bit confusing, you know. Will there be any other journeys for Terrell and Keke?
Oh, yes. That is my plan. My plan is to take them as many places around the world that they can go. And they'll meet some pretty fabulous people along the way. That's my plan. As long as I can make a book, I'm going to try to make more.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure having you here. You're more than welcome to come back and with any other future projects.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. All right. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Kesha Rushing. I am the author to Terrell and Keke's Adventures Through Time. And if you want more information about purchasing my book, you can find it on Amazon. And it's in paperback and Kindle. You just type Terrell and Keke into the search box and it should come up. Also, if you want to find a little bit more information about upcoming features or articles or more about Terrell and Keke and their adventure, you can go to my website at www.terrellandkekesadventures.com. Thank you.